This is Gorillas Freak 25 or Reds Fan 250, depending on who you are. Um, and the Real World Seattle Bad Blood, which was the 32nd season of the Real World, it's hard to believe it's been that many, has now concluded. I personally did not like the season at all. As a matter of fact, it's one of the worst ever. But here's the really sad part. I thought Skeletons was pretty bad, and I thought the last season before this, Go Big or Go Home, was the worst ever, probably. So, anyway, I don't know how much longer this show should go on, but I'll go ahead and give it a recap anyway. So, we're back at Seattle for the first time since they filmed it in 1998, which aired in 1999. And the special theme for this season, which they didn't even start doing themes until like, 4 seasons ago, I think it was. Anyway, 3 seasons ago. The special theme for this challenge is there will be 7 roommates, and halfway through the season, bad blood will move in. Well, how is that any different than Explosion, which I think was season 29, Explosion, where 7 people then were in there and their exes moved in, or an ex for almost all 7. Or how is that any different where skeletons, a skeleton from their past were going to come? Because these people that have bad blood may have been an ex relationship, may have been a friend, may have been a family member, which we had already seen. So the problem initially with the season is we basically had already seen this theme before twice. And we had just seen Rivals and all that in the challenge. So this is really just nothing new. This season by far has the most cast members. There's 7 cast members, and they were able to find 7 so-called bad blood for all of them. So there's 14 people, I think beginning in episode 4 or 5, I think it was, 14 total. Here is the miraculous part. Despite the fact there's 14 cast members on this season, almost all of them were boring. I mean, can you tell me one thing about Will? One thing about Anika? I didn't think so because they were barely even shown in the whole season. And then you have others like Jordan who, besides her wasty face or whatever you want to call it on the last episode of the season, did absolutely nothing. I mean, it's just like, I just can't believe it's possible to get a cast, this many cast members. And, well, first of all, let's talk about some records that were broken this season. First of all, I'm pretty sure it had the most non-white cast members. And that's excluding the 14 factor of 14 cast members. Even if there were theoretically only 6 or 7 cast members like there have been in an overall majority of the seasons, I'm pretty sure having like the percentage-wise, it would have been more blacks. You see what I'm saying? It's just the original 7, I think 4 of them were non-white. So that's insane. Second of all, this season, 4 cast members left before the final episode. 4. That shatters a record. The most before that was 2, and that was Real World Hollywood, I'm pretty sure. So 4 of them this season. And granted, 14 cast members, but still, 4 of them, and 3 of them were evictions. And also the other record on top of that, which goes in line with that, is Peter being evicted in the final episode, who, by the way, is probably one of the worst people they've ever put on this show's history. I think that was the only, and I'm pretty sure this is true, the only time in real world history that someone was evicted on the very final episode, the very last bit of filming. So, but those records don't help the season. Those records actually hurt the season. Why? Because the 4 people that left brought in the most excitement for the show. Like, Mike said some ignorant racist comments. He really did. But he was spicing up the show. Tierra seemed to be everyone's favorite. Everyone loved her, and she was gorgeous. I mean, probably the best looking one on this season, in my opinion. No, she gets pregnant, which I want to say that's the first pregnancy in challenge history. I'm not sure. I have to double check me on that. And Real World, where someone had become or found out they were pregnant on the season. So, you have these little milestones, but they mean nothing just because, one, we've seen this theme twice, basically. Number 2, the cast was very boring. I mean, the first 8 episodes were like a snooze fest. It was like sleeping through them. The last 4 were pretty good, but that was it. Now let's get on about Peter. Peter is manipulative. He's controlling. He's verbally abusive. He's borderline physical abusive. And I wouldn't doubt if he was behind cameras. He's a coward. He wouldn't mess with anyone that's his own size, or he wouldn't mess with another man. And why the hell, I don't know, Anna kept sticking up for him, I'll never know. But it's just, and then finally the entire house had realized at the end that Peter was nuts, and producers had to kick him out, which was better because unfortunately Theo got kicked out. And, Bunim Murray Productions, the ones who make these shows, they've been showing a bias, especially in the challenges, and this is no exception. Cassius is a scumbag. I mean, I can't believe the guy's even a father, which that poor kid, because I highly doubt he's even a good father. And anyway, so he already gets Theo in trouble in college because Theo took the blame for him. And then he disrespects him all because Theo didn't get mad at Mike for his racist comments. Well, maybe Theo should have had more of a backbone, but at the same time, it wasn't Cassius's business. And the fact is, Cassius began the fight and did a small little shove and caused Theo to get a little bit violent. I think Cassius should have been the one to send home. But for the sake of argument, just send both of them home. The fact they let that scumbag Cassius on there just hurt the season even more than it already was. Well, and that's really all I have to say because, like I said, besides those last 4 episodes where we found out Tiara was pregnant from her ex back at home, Cassius was a scumbag and got Theo kicked off, Peter was probably the most abusive person they've ever put on these shows, and Jordan getting drunk at the very last episode, which is weird because she seemed like really good model type that knew anything. Really, that was it. I mean, there's nothing else to say. It was a snooze fest. I didn't really care about Katrina and her sister too much. I didn't think that spiced up anything. I think that actually got kind of boring. So for the future, I still think the real world should continue for the sake of continuing the MTV challenge.